Ryan hit on it, but bring in a guy on the defensive line, Jack Sullivan, 4 years at Purdue in the Big Ten, could have gone to the NFL, decided to go to USC. Jamil Muhammad, who has been in college for 3 years, I believe. And then Mason Cobb, all guys we talked about, just the experience. To be really good on defense, you can't just have these freshmen guys who are from high school. You need to have really good veteran leadership, veteran players, guys who have been in college for a while, people who are 20 to 23 years old even sometimes. So I think that's a huge part of this as well. And then the high upside guys that added on defense who are a little younger, Anthony Lucas and Bear Alexander, their ceiling was, or their thought was, the coaching staffs, the ceiling on these two guys is exponentially high, so let's mix them in with some of these veterans. And now you have a defense that Ryan's really excited about, I'm excited about, I think should be a lot better too. And then looking at college football as a whole, the playoff teams from a year ago, Georgia has a new quarterback, Ohio State has a new quarterback, TCU, I don't expect them to be as good, but they'll have a new quarterback. Alabama wasn't in the playoff a year ago, but they have a new quarterback. So bringing back Caleb Williams is even bigger in that regard. USC has a quarterback coming back, and the team's supposed to be really good. A lot of the teams they're going to be competing with, if they do get to that college football playoff level, have new QBs. So I think that's huge as well. Michigan is the only one to bring their quarterback back, J.J. McCarthy. But I think that really bodes well for USC. So I agree with everything Ryan said. I think it's going to be a really exciting season. I'm excited about the defense, and the fact that Caleb Williams is back when a lot of teams don't have their QB coming back, I think is huge too.
Yeah. And I would say with the Caleb Williams stuff, and you know, Archie Griffin was the only time that someone went back-to-back in the Heisman, and USC has, you know, Ed Liner come back, a real decent shot at doing it this year because Caleb Williams' numbers, his numbers were great. Only throwing 5 picks is going to be tough. He wants to throw less. That's going to be hard to throw less than 5 picks. Because you get balls, you know, as Shayna, your ball, you know, balls bounce off a receiver's hands. But he has upside on his touchdowns, not just, you know, passing touchdowns, but rushing touchdowns. He has upsides on yards. His efficiency, he can do all that better. But the most important thing is the team has upside because it was a team that won 11 games but didn't win the Pac-12 and it didn't win their bowl game. You can go to the college football playoff, so he has upside with the team as well. So I think this is more about can Caleb Williams repeat and win the 9th Heisman for USC. I think he's got as decent shot as anybody we've seen coming back. Because sometimes if you're like, if there's a Bryce Young and you like win a national championship, you're in the championship game or whatever, it's hard to like, you can't really top that. He can top it by taking USC to the very first playoff. He can get better on his numbers. And plus, USC does have a tougher schedule this year than last year. You go on the road to Oregon, you play Notre Dame on the road. Washington's going to be a really prolific offense. I think their defense is going to be better. You get them in the Coliseum. And it's a backloaded schedule. So if USC doesn't start 6-0, there's a problem, but you know, it should happen. But then, you know, all the teams playing towards the end, it's going to be a tougher run. But USC will be, and the good thing, USC in the last year of the Pac-12, the Pac-12 is going to be good this year. And it's unfortunate what's happening. We can talk about that later if you want. But it's unfortunate what's happening, but there's a lot of quarterbacks back. You know, Michael Penix Jr. was number 10, I think, in the Heisman last year. He's coming to the Coliseum, and they put up great receivers, a lot of points. It's going to be a lot of fun. Going to test this USC defense, especially late in the season. Oregon with Bo Nix, he had a great year. You know, so there's a lot of good guys. Oregon State, I mean, USC's not going to play Oregon State, but they're going to knock some people off again, bringing in a quarterback. And you know, there's the first 3 teams that USC plays in the Pac-12 all have new coaches, you know, Colorado, Stanford, and Arizona State. So, you know, it's not going to be a tough road early on. There's some really bad teams, I think, in the Pac-12. But the upper half, they're all, I think anyone's capable of beating anybody. So it's going to make the schedule tougher. But if you're making a Heisman run, if you remember like when Carson Palmer won it, you know, playing Notre Dame at the end, USC's set up really well to play tough teams at the end. And if you're going on a run, you go to Autzen and beat Oregon. You go to South Bend and beat Notre Dame. You beat Washington in like a shootout at home. That's going to bode very well for his chances, and he can improve on his numbers a little bit, and USC can, you know, get into a playoff. And like Connor said, like there's a lot of those teams are, you know, Georgia's going to be a really good quarterback or not, but the rest of them, you know, it's like TCU's not going to be up there again. There's a real window, and I think it's really important, and get your thoughts on this too, for Lincoln Riley to win. This is his last chance to win a Pac-12 championship, and we were up there we were in Vegas for Pac-12 Media Day. George Kliavkoff didn't mention USC or UCLA in his opening remarks. He said there was a Heisman winner, but it wasn't saying that USC's quarterback. He was sort of avoiding that. It kind of reminds me of Larry Scott back in the day. I don't forget, maybe 2016 or something. It's football media day. Larry Scott didn't say the word football for like the first 5 minutes. He brought up the women's rowing coach from Washington because it was like the 500th championship in the Pac-12. You were trying. Kliavkoff really didn't want to mention USC. It would really be kind of like a nice sayonara to win the Pac-12. And I think Lincoln Riley knows that. He would love to do that on his way out. And they have a real shot to do it. Utah's going to be good again. I don't know how healthy Cam Rising is going to be. They beat USC twice last year, but USC gets them at home. So I think it's a real opportunity here. I think the players know it. I think the coaches know it. I think Lincoln Riley for sure knows that this is what he wants to do. He doesn't want to leave go to the Big Ten and great success over the years. He's very excited about the future. He's very excited about the new facilities going to be built. But I think it's really important to him. Caleb's last year in the Pac-12, do something very special. So we can give back.
Sure, just to add to that, the guys they've added in the transfer portal, talking to Mason Cobb in Las Vegas, in an ideal world, he's one and done with USC, and then he goes to the NFL. Dorian Singer, the receiver from Arizona, he's in an ideal world, one and done, goes to the NFL. That's the case with a lot of these guys. Jack Sullivan, who I talked about earlier, and Ryan, you had the chance to talk with him. When he went into the portal, Alabama's asking for him. Before that, he was considering going to the NFL in the offseason. And then he said, okay, what the heck, I'll throw my name in. And all these teams were all over him. So the fact that he chose USC shows that he thinks this is going to be a special year. And I think how the Trojans attack the transfer portal says a lot about how they look at this year. Christian Roland Wallace is another guy who's going to be one and done and then on to the NFL after this. They targeted guys who they know can help them for 1 year. And I think that shows that they know how special of an opportunity this is. Last year in the Pac-12, last year with Caleb Williams, the fact that they added so many guys who are going to be one and done, they know how big of an opportunity this is. They know a national championship, getting to that game, it is possible with this group. Lincoln Riley, it's possible. So I think just to echo what Ryan said, the fact that they went all in the transfer portal, brought in a lot of guys who are only going to be here for 1 year but have a lot of talent, that shows they're all in for this year.
I think you're going to like the team. If you remember last year, bringing some people uncomfortable with the number of players that Lincoln Riley brought in. He sort of set the bar for transfers in. Now, Coach Prime in Colorado blew the bar away, just changing everybody. They had 10 guys back or whatever it is. But you brought in guys like Travis Dye, who became an instant leader on the team. And a lot of the players they brought in, especially this year, there's already a culture in place. He was building the culture last year. The culture's in place. So a guy like Bear Alexander, Anthony Lucas, the guys with high upside, like Connor said, they can fit into what the guys are there already, and the players that are there are showing it. They can now tell the new guys, here's what's expected, here's what we're doing. So I feel like the year 1 to year 2 thing is going to be big, and the whole I don't say a guy like Lincoln Riley has a chip on his shoulder, but I got to do a one-on-one with Lincoln in Las Vegas at Pac-12 Media Day, and one of the things I brought up to him was, do you know that George Kliavkoff didn't mention USC or UCLA in his opening remarks? And Lincoln goes, well, if we win it, they'll mention us. So so he knows. So with that, I guess we can take questions, any kind of questions you have, and Connor and I will do our best to answer.